All right, today we're going to jump into some of the most powerful ideas in human history, the belief systems that have shaped pretty much everything around us. The goal here is to take a quick, clear journey through the world's major religions. So let's get right to it. Ever since we could look up at the stars, we've been wrestling with these huge questions. Who are we? Why are we here? And what happens when it's all over? These aren't just random thoughts. They are the deep, fundamental questions that have kicked off humanity's search for meaning.
And that's where religion comes in. At its core, that's what we're talking about. Religion, in all its different forms, is our attempt to build a system, a framework that gives us answers to those big questions and helps us feel connected to something much, much bigger than ourselves. So here's the plan for our trip. We're going to start with that universal quest for meaning itself. Then we'll jump back in time to look at some of the most ancient beliefs. From there, we'll journey to India to explore the Dharmic paths, then head over to the Middle East for the Abrahamic faiths. And finally, we'll tie it all together.
It all starts right here. This drive to find answers. It's the engine behind every single belief system we're about to explore. So let's go all the way back to the beginning. Our first stop is going to be with the earliest forms of human spirituality, the ideas that first connected our ancestors to the world all around them. We often call these primal or traditional religions. You find them all over the world with indigenous peoples. And the core idea? It's that everything in nature, trees, rivers, animals, rocks, it all has a spirit. It's a worldview where the spiritual and the natural are totally intertwined, deeply connected to your ancestors and your community.
Now, as human societies got more complex, so did our beliefs. And one of the biggest early shifts happened in ancient Persia with Zoroastrianism. This was a game changer. Instead of spirits in everything, it pitched the universe as one giant cosmic battle between good and evil. You've got the one good god, Ahura Mazda, versus the spirit of evil, Ahriman. And the really critical part? Humanity gets to choose which side to be on. Okay, let's head to a new part of the world. We're now in the Indian subcontinent, which gave birth to a whole family of religions. And what links them together are these incredible ideas of karma, the law of cause and effect, and reincarnation, this endless cycle of life, death, and rebirth.
This chart kind of breaks it down for us. You can see how even with that shared foundation, they all go in different directions. Hinduism, the oldest, focuses on your duty, your dharma, to eventually unite with Brahman, the ultimate reality. Jainism takes the idea of nonviolence, ahimsa, to its absolute extreme, all to achieve liberation, or moksha. Buddhism focuses on a very practical problem, ending suffering, and Sikhism blends some of these ideas with a deep focus on serving one God. But let's zoom in on Buddhism for a second, because its ideas have spread so far across the world. It offers this really practical diagnosis of what it means to be human, and it all boils down to one simple number: 4. And these are the 4 noble truths that the Buddha taught. I mean, it's such a straightforward breakdown. First, you just have to admit it. Life involves suffering. Second, you have to understand where it comes from, our own cravings and attachments. But number 3, and this is the hopeful part, is that we can actually end it. And how? Well, that's number 4, by following a guide called the Eightfold Path to reach a state of total peace or nirvana. Okay, let's shift gears again and travel west to the deserts of the Middle East. This is the birthplace of another family of faiths, the Abrahamic religions. What's amazing is they all trace their roots back to a single person, Abraham. It's like one epic story that then branches out into 3 of the world's most influential paths. And this timeline really helps you see how that story unfolded over centuries. It all starts with Judaism and this foundational promise or covenant between God and Abraham. Much later, Christianity emerges within that Jewish tradition, centered on Jesus Christ. And then, about 600 years after that, the Prophet Muhammad receives the revelations that become the foundation of Islam. And this right here, this is the promise that started it all. This line from the Torah is the heart of the covenant that is so central to Judaism. It's this sacred agreement, this special relationship between the Jewish people and one God, and it has been their guidepost for thousands of years. Now, as this story moves forward, you see how the paths start to diverge, especially around key figures like Jesus. For Christians, Jesus isn't just a prophet. He is the divine Son of God, whose sacrifice offers salvation to humanity. In Islam, Jesus is also incredibly important. He's held in the highest regard, but as one of God's most powerful prophets, leading the way for the final prophet, Muhammad. For Muslims, a life of faith is really built on 5 core practices, which are known as the 5 pillars. It starts with a declaration of faith, followed by daily prayers, giving to those in need, fasting during the holy month of Ramadan, and for those who are able, making a pilgrimage to the holy city of Mecca at least once in their life.
Wow, okay, so we've covered a ton of ground, right? From the earliest tribal beliefs to the great faiths of India and the Middle East. So let's zoom out now and see how this human search for truth is still unfolding all around us.
And believe me, that search is far from over. In just the last couple of centuries, we've seen all kinds of new spiritual movements pop up. You've got the Baha'i faith, which really focuses on the unity of all people and religions. And you also have modern systems like Scientology and all sorts of practices that fall under the New Age umbrella. The story just keeps going.
And just to put things in perspective, this chart gives you a rough idea of the scale we're talking about today. You can see Christianity and Islam are the largest religions in the world by population, but it's really the combination of all these traditions that creates the incredibly rich and diverse spiritual tapestry of our modern world. So after all that, you might be asking, okay, but why does any of this matter? Well, it's huge. It's not just about knowing facts. It's about understanding people. It's about being able to live peacefully with our neighbors who might believe differently than we do. And it's about respecting that every single one of these paths is at its heart a profound human search for truth. And that brings me to the final question I want to leave you with. After getting even just a little glimpse into these vast, ancient, and powerful human stories, how does that change the way you see our world? It's definitely something we're thinking about. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey.